Hey, welcome back to the Bedtalk show with me, Adwoa Armah-Appiah. We are live on ABN Radio, London's only premier Afropolitan station. And tonight we have here in the studio Selassie and Kofi. And as I introduced them earlier, Selassie needs no introduction, but Kofi is our first time right here on the seat. A very good friend and listener of the Bedtalk show. He has been our #1 supporter and frequently called. I think we need to give you that caller award. But yes, we are really privileged to have you right here with us in the studio. And we are talking about commitment in marriages, within marriages, in relationships. You know, whether marriage is commitment or commitment is marriage. What is the difference in all of that? And to be honest, like I said earlier, that was Kofi's topic that he suggested a while back. Yeah. And so we thought we will discuss that this evening. So thank you so much, Kofi. And as always, if you also have a topic that you want us to discuss, please feel free to give us a call. You could also send an email to Bedtalk@ABN Radio UK. So it's Bedtalk@ABNRadioUK.com. Send me an email and with any topic, anything that you want us to discuss, and we will make an attempt to discuss. May I take this opportunity to also acknowledge Frida's Palace for sponsoring the show. We want to say thank you. And Frida's Palace is in Croydon. If you want to beautify yourself and do your hair, manicure, bridal, what have you, Frida's Palace is the way to go. In a bit, we would play her her advert, and you would get all the necessary information from there. So how would you define commitment? Talking about commitment. Should we start with Kofi?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure why you're starting with the only man in the room.
We are initiating you.
Oh, okay, I see. I'm scared now. But yeah, thanks so much, Adwoa. It's a very, very interesting topic because it's something that it's very simple, but it's very, very complex. But it starts from the definition of commitment. And it's very simple. It's simply loyalty devoted to a cause or activity. It's as simple as that. And if you look at relationships or marriage, you could say it's the fusion or the union of a man and a woman, or husband and a wife. I believe we're talking the heterosexual context here. Those two things, commitment and marriage, are totally different. Now, I'll give you a very, very simple example. Now, I said I'll be coming here on your program. Yeah. So that was a promise or a vow or a pledge. It's not a commitment. It is when I actually made that activity happen, driving here or walking here, that is when I actually fulfilled that pledge.
That is a very interesting concept.
So people, for example, when they're getting married, they stand in the church or in whichever place it is, and they pronounce certain vows. I'll love you, I'll cherish you in sickness and health. Those are they are vows. They are pledges. Nothing to do with commitment, which is why the Americans say talk is cheap. Yeah. It's just all they're doing is just publicly saying to people around, oh, I'm going to love you, I'm going to cherish you in sickness and health. However, what is in the person's head could be totally different. So those are vows, pledges, etc. It's not commitment. I'll give you another example. Now, many people work, so we go to work every day. We have employment contracts with our employers. Yeah. Right. Now, many of us, respectfully, are not certainly committed to our jobs. We get up in the morning and go because we get paid or because there's an employment contract hanging over your head. If you don't go, you'd have to explain. If you don't explain properly, ultimately you might get fired from work.
So that is not commitment.
Not commitment, because it's not voluntary. It's not coming from you voluntarily. I came here voluntarily. You haven't signed a contract. If I chose not to come, you couldn't take me to court. I couldn't lose my house. I couldn't lose my car. Nothing. But that is commitment. Commitment is when you actualize that pledge or that promise or whatever you said. That is when you're showing commitment. It's similar to, you go to your GP, he gives you some tablets to take. When you come home, it's entirely up to you whether you take those pills or not. Because the doctor would say, take these pills, they'll help you recover, blah, blah, blah. But you have got to be committed to take those pills every morning. Simple as that. It is your voluntary action that would actualize that pledge or that vow or that promise. Those are things that we say every day. So you see a lady or you see a guy, oh, I love you so much, I'll do everything for you and I'll be there for you. It is so many of the ladies say, oh, he's committed to me and she's committed to me, but the person has just spoken words.
Yeah.
Your actions would determine whether truly you are committed to that
But
person
I think
or that activity or not.
nowadays people take the words that people say is important to them, so they take it, and then we take them by the words, but we don't the process, the action to back that words. That is when you have to. That's what Kofi is talking about. But we don't wait. But once that word come out, I love you. People use this word. I'm in a committed relationship. I think it's just words that is thrown around, because what actually happened in the day-to-day relationship really show whether it is committed, because it is not you telling your friends, oh, I'm in a committed relationship, because you want them to have this idea that you are in a relationship. But what happened, they will see and realize that, oh, they are really committed to each other. And in the concept of marriage, people are together, they are married legally, or they are married together, but their action, day-to-day action, doesn't show that they are committed to each other. And I would say that is why marriages are finding it very difficult nowadays.
Wow. I must say that I like the way that you have broken this down, because like you said, people just throw the words around. I'm in a committed relationship and what have you. What exactly is the committed relationship? What do they tend by that? I think it's easy to say that I'm in a committed relationship. Kofi, I must say I like how you actually broke it down. You came to my level.
Very simple.
And also, Adwoa, what I want to add is, if you're talking about committed, what is the level of commitment? What are we committed to?
Yes.
How is this relationship going to play out? And those are the things that we owe it to ourselves in relationship to ask and to talk about. Because if we don't do that, we are doing ourselves a disservice. Because I say I am committed to you. What are my expectations? What can you do? What can I also do? Where do we need to compromise?
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you ladies, because the most important thing before any relationships, I mean, marriage is a form of relationship. There are long-term relationships. They are living apart together relationships, different types of relationships. But the most important thing, like you ladies were saying, was to say what you want from that relationship. And the bits we want from relationships as human beings differ from one person to the next.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this modern day and age, people believe that relationship is about love and, romance and all that kind of stuff. But if you look at the history and the origin of relationships and marriage, it had nothing to do with that at all. Going back in ancient times, it was all about expanding labor force and families. That's the reason why, because there was vast land and different families wanted the vast number of people to work on those lands to basically make those families wealthy. Yeah. Marriage had nothing to do with love. So if my dad or my granddad, they could basically just get a lady and say, you're married to this person. So basically you can produce offspring so their farms could be tilled, the work it had nothing to do with love. Then as times changed, coming down, marriage itself then transformed a bit, because back then the industrial agricultural age was kind of drawn to a close. Come to the industrial age, there was polygamy, then gradually became monogamy. Men were setting themselves because they were generally men are bigger, stronger, more powerful. Yeah. So they would do the polygamy bits, they would have all the juicy parts and all that kind of stuff. But then as society changed and the market economics changed, where women could now play roles financially in the day-to-day activities of society, then you could see that the trajectory of marriage itself began to change. People began to demand their pound of flesh. Women began to say, well, if you can do this, well, I should be able to do this, blah, blah, blah. And women had to fight for their rights, even within marriage. And I'm trying to remember how many centuries ago, but even in Victorian England, women were not seen to be kind of sexually active at all.
That's right.
So that in itself,
duty.
absolutely. So that in itself, women had to fight for every single pound of flesh that they could get. And I mean, the spread of market economics and democracy to an extent has kind of changed, and that changed the dynamics of relationships from the ancient times all the way through now. I mean, now, thanks to the information age, the internet, blah, 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 now people are championing same-sex marriage across the world. But that's how relationships and marriage has changed from the ancient times all the way down. And it goes back to the fact that commitment in itself has got different strands. People get into relationships, like I said, in the past, it had to do with labor and economics. That's why families would marry people
But
off.
don't say ancient time, because still people
happens.
are getting married for different reasons, but they are just covering it up with love and everything.
Exactly where I was going to.
It's still going
You know
on.
what? Can we hold those thoughts for a minute? We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back. Please don't go anywhere because this is getting interesting. We'll be right back.
Bedtalk on ABN Radio with Frida's Palace. Ladies, look elegant with Frida's Palace. Call 079 315 11991 to book your appointment.
You look elegant.
Thank you.
The hairstyle, the makeup, you change that every week.
It's Frida's Palace.
So, that stunning outlook at your birthday party was Frida's Palace, right?
You got that. Hair and makeup for every occasion, anytime. Just walk into their Norwood Junction and Croydon salons or book an appointment by calling Frida on 07931 511 991 or 0208 6535 300. Consultation is free.
Can I take you out for dinner?
As your PA, I'll have to tell your wife you're asking me out.
It's just dinner.
I still need to tell your wife.
Frida's Palace. Look elegant.
Hi, this is Rodney Hines.
And I'm Michael.
Join us on the Voice of Sports show each and every Saturday on ABN Radio.
We'll keep you bang up to date with all the latest football scores and we'll discuss all the big talking points in the world of sport. So don't forget, join us this Saturday, 4 till 6 on ABN Radio UK.
Come solicitors, solve all your problem. Your legal partner established in 2004. 14 years in the making. UK #1.
Family Law. We are specialists in divorce matters. Whether it is a complex or simple or agreed divorce, you may get court fee exemption if you are on a low income. Call .com solicitors on 0208 880 9000 or visit our website www.comsolicitors.com.
So welcome back to the Bedtalk show. We are live on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan station. And yes, we are streaming live on YouTube as well. You can catch us on DAB, on the TuneIn app, on Modern Ghana, and on Radio Player. Give us a call on 0208 6707300. 0208-670-7300. You could also send us a WhatsApp message on 0788 7475 0788 7475 I also want to acknowledge Frida's Palace. Frida's Palace is a lovely beautician, and if you want to, your bridal needs, your hairdressing needs, manicure, pedicure, whatever thing to beautify yourself, that's the place to go. So Kofi and Selassie, I think we really started off on an interesting note. Selassie, you actually mentioned something when you were talking about levels of commitment. What are some of the levels of commitment? Are there, how do you measure the level of commitment? Low, medium, high? What is low? What is medium? What is high?
When you meet somebody initially, before you even take that step to say that we're dating, or you call that person your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you have to, you might have seen certain things about the person. How dedicated the person is to you, how loyal the person is to you. And these are the things that we have to look at. Because if we are saying that we are in a committed relationship, if we say we are married, what type of marriage are we hoping to have? Is it that marriage is it like just a contract that I married you because I want you to fulfill my needs and there is no love, as Kofi explained it, we are using love as a covering. So a couple have to determine, or you personally have to determine what is going on, because people love at first sight. People see each other. I mean, I think for 6 weeks they are married. They say they are committed to each other. Some people also date for 10 years and still not get married. So it is a personal thing. You know yourself. You know what you want. So you will determine how to calculate that level of commitment. Because once you start dating, things will be going on. You would observe things. Are you going to overlook it and say, I'm going to marry him and change him, or no?
That's an interesting one. Kofi, what have you got to add?
I mean, Celeste touched on some very, very interesting points. And even before I get to her level, because she's gone on a higher level, I'll kind of go on the lower scale level. And like she's saying, even before you kind of start anything, you have to be genuinely honest with yourself as to what is it that you like. So if, for example, like we said, there are various reasons why people enter relationships, and any kind of relationship, called marriage itself, is a form of relationship. Now, it could be financial. People don't like to hear this, but the reason why somebody could want to be with somebody may be financial. And if your partner also agrees that, well, yeah, that's fine, that's fine with us.
No, they don't agree. They pretend. But you can sense it, but you're okay with it, because you're also getting the good sex, the cute lady on your arm and everything. So it's
so then
not
there'll
really
be problems.
about.
So then eventually there'll be problems.
Yeah.
Because from the onset, both of you haven't been genuine. If I say I like to maybe spend on a woman, so I want a woman who will stay at home and a woman who I'll take care of, and you agree and say, okay, I like a guy who would spend on me, who would take care of me, who would not let me work, and we can agree, then we can get married, and it's ultimately would work for us, myself and yourself.
So the man's run out of money.
Exactly. If the man runs out of money, then if you leave, it's justified. Because the basis on which we agreed to be a union is because I said I like to spend on a woman, keep her at home, she shouldn't work, and you said exactly the same, you are kind of into that thing. So then the two of us, if we kind of play our cards well, it will work. Once the money is there for me to look after you. In the same way, somebody could do a relationship that's based on sex. And some people don't like to hear this, but somebody's sexual needs is their ultimate. That's a different human being. So he says, I like a woman because, or she says, okay, I have a high sex drive. And people like that exist. If yours, actually. Yeah, if yours is sex driven and she also is sex driven, then when both of you kind of get together, 9 times out of 10 it would work, because both of you have.
The problem is that we are not truthful to each other.
That is ultimately the issue. That is the baseline. That's the problem.
If we are very truthful to each other,
yes, we wouldn't have any problems when we identify those things.
Because we know that, gosh, you are my friend with benefits. Occasionally, yes, I need sex and we have sex. That is it. I don't expect anything. I don't expect you to take me out or anything. I meet you, we just have a quick one and I'm okay. So that is it. I'm not going to invest my emotions and everything in you. So I mean, it's about time we are truthful to each other.
Absolutely. But would you say that as the relationship progresses, you know, the levels of commitment also changes?
No, you become fond of the person. That is when you need to have that conversation that we are friends with benefits. So, and it looks like I'm attracted to you. Is there a way of modifying that relationship for us to be in a proper relationship instead of being friends with benefit? Because if we are not truthful to each other, things are changing. Your feelings will be hurt, because initially you said we were friends with benefits and we were okay to see other people, but I'm developing feelings for you and I'm not telling you and I'm getting hurt.
Okay, but my thing is, you talk about friends with benefits. We move a step ahead of friends with benefits. Now I say, I like this certain person because maybe I like a woman who's this, that, and the other, per my criteria. And then the woman also has to look at her criteria and say, okay, I like a man who is blah, 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 as per her criteria. Do the two of us meet per the kind of thing that we've drawn?
We don't do that. I'm so in love with him. So gorgeous. I'm so in love.
And that's why we have issues, because people, like you're saying, are not truthful from the onset.
Yeah.
I think don't you think that maybe right from the beginning, because there's a bit of infatuation and that kind of honeymoon period, certain things don't come into play.
But before you kind of get with someone, you should have the thing that you like about, you want to have in a partner, or no matter who the person is. So if you like somebody who's tidy, who's clean, who's jokey, somebody, you have your criteria, and she also has to have her criteria, because you may like somebody like that who she fits in.
Kofi. We just get swept and then let love take butterflies in our stomach.
I mean, because sometimes you might have your criteria, but then this person will come along and sweep you off your feet.
No, the thing is, you have your criteria, but who says that her criteria is the same as yours? So you might fit my criteria. At times we
sacrifice, we put it to right. We put it at
okay, I see where you're going.
So you might fit my criteria 100%, but your criteria may not be me.
Right. And then in my head, I am thinking we are on the same level.
Exactly.
However, he is not.
Exactly. That's what the issue is.
Okay. So this is where, if you're not on the same level, then you've got to be able to communicate with me and say, you know what, I understand how you feel about me. I get that your emotions are running wild. I am not quite there yet. But then a lot of the times we don't. Because
never.
you actually kind of fan that fire. You actually encourage it without letting the person know that I am not on that level.
Who've had the balls to own up and say that, look, this is it.
Yeah.
You end up losing that relationship.
Yes.
Because you are bold enough to identify it and call time out and say, that is what is going on. But what do you think about it?
It's better. I mean, from the onset, if you can define the bits that you like, because believe me, we are all different when it comes to relationships, and the reason why. People go in for love, people for finance, for security, for people just for the social status.
Yeah.
Just the fact that she's wearing a ring or he's wearing a ring, it does it. Now,
that's the fact that I'm a missus.
Exactly. And if that does it for the woman, and you, the man, that also does it for you, then normally those two persons, it kind of works. Somebody would get married to somebody because her mother likes a person, or her father likes a person, or her sisters. That's if you're also that way inclined, then normally the two of you, it will work.
But you see, that's the reason to why a lot of the time there are problems more than it works. Funny enough, this morning I was listening to something on WhatsApp, and the person was saying how, like you go to a church and there's this beautiful lady singing and you like the way she sings, hence you propose to the person because you want to be with the person because of the way she sings. Now 2, 3, 4 years down the line in your marriage, you realize that her personality and things is not exactly how you wanted it, but you were attracted to the way she sang, not because of anything else. And then another beautiful sister comes in and sings better than her. Now your feelings starts drifting to that kind of thing.
That's a confused person.
But then it's pretty much talking about we not being honest with the way we feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Are there some requirements, of commitment? And if there are, what are they?
With commitment, it comes from within yourself. It's voluntary. Anything where you're compelled, and normally in this day and age, you hear all the time, somebody is giving somebody an ultimatum: marry me by 2019, marry me by in the next 6 months. Commitment doesn't work that way. When you compel somebody to do something, you should know that they're not committed. It's the same thing I was saying about many of us who are employed. We go to work because the employment contract's hanging over our head.
Yeah.
If it was raining tomorrow, I really wouldn't want to go to work, but I've got to go because if I don't go, I've got to explain. If I don't explain, I get fired.
Yeah.
It's the same thing which is why, if you look at throughout ancient times, when marriage became kind of institutionalized, I think it was in the 17th or 16th century in the USA, where they started demanding certificates in terms of registration of marriages. Because basically, somebody would take somebody, would get the person pregnant, would run off, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, go and marry somebody else, lots of bigamy and all that kind of stuff. So as our century moves on, it's human beings started getting wiser. We've got to kind of sort this thing out, which is why I think there was an interesting point I was listening to on one radio station where they're talking about the civil marriages and religious marriages and the kind of things that, and there are two things that are requirements, legal requirements. One, the person who's kind of marrying you guys must be someone who has the authority to marry. has to register that marriage.
Right,
Either the person or there's somebody in whose presence they've got to do that. And then there's something else. It had to do with the two, but those were two legalities that had to be, you had to basically fulfill. So you couldn't, in the ancient times where men would kind of impregnate this person and run off and get married to this person and move on and get married to another person. And society and humans saw that, no, we've got to kind of sort something out. So in that, so people who argue against marriage always say, well, if you've got the marriage contract hanging over your head, like an employment contract, then you've got like a whip hanging over you. So when you go and say,
willing to make it work.
Yeah. So when you say in sickness and in health, I'll love you forever, I'll cherish you, the marriage contract is hanging over your head. Now, if you don't abide by those things, you probably lose your house, you lose your marriage, you lose your car, the kids will be taken from you, blah, blah, blah. So people say, well, if you've got something like that hanging on you, are you really committed to that relationship, or are you in there because there's something hanging on you? You know, if you don't play by the rules, he's going to divorce you or she's going to divorce you or blah, blah, blah. So those who kind of are for genuine commitment say, well, if I'm genuinely committed to, let's say, coming to this program today, I don't need a marriage contract or an employment contract over my head.
You're right.
I genuinely am dedicated to this person. I like her so much. She ticks my boxes. So therefore, I willingly would be dedicated and devoted to her without a marriage contract or an employment contract hanging over our head. Right. So people say, once a contract hangs over your head, how sure are you that he is being really genuine towards you? Which is why you have people, they are married, yet he's sleeping around, she's sleeping around, he's got girlfriends. Because the only reason why he's in the house or she's in the house is because there's a marriage contract hanging over their heads. If you kind of misstep, she's going to take you to court, he's going to take you to court, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your children, blah, blah, blah. So therefore, people say, if you want genuine commitment, then you shouldn't be signing anything on a piece of paper. Like I said, many of us have signed contracts with our employers, but our employers know that every week we are looking on the internet for different jobs every day. So they know that we've got contracts, but are we committed? No, we're not. Even the employers laugh and say, well, there's nothing like a job for life, so you've got to, spread your tentacles and broaden. Because the only reason why we are there is because there's an employment contract hanging over our heads.
And we need to pay our bills too.
Absolutely. So people say, for genuine commitment, like Selassie was saying, it has to be defined by the person from the start. What is it that I like? Is it sex? Is it financial? Is it social? Is it just keeping up appearances, having a ring on my finger? If that is what you want, please communicate that to that partner. And if she or he likes it that way, it would work. But because, like Selassie is saying, because we are not genuine, and we do not tell the truth from the start that I really like wild, crazy sex. If you're genuine and if that's what you want, and you communicate that with the other party, and she or he likes that, believe me, 99.9%,
it will work.
But like Selassie was saying, we are just not genuine.
Wow, I really like that. So keeping up appearances. If you have only just joined us, we are live on ABN. This is the Bedtalk show with me, Adwoa, and I have right here with me Kofi and Selassie. But for now, we'll take a little quick breather. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
ABN Radio, home of Afrobeats.
Bedtalk on ABN Radio with Frida's Palace. Ladies, look elegant with Frida's Palace. Call 079 315 11991 to book your appointment.
You look elegant.
Thank you.
The hairstyle, the makeup, you change that every week.
It's Frida's Palace.
So that's standing out. Look at your birthday party was Frida's Palace, right?
You got that. Hair and makeup for every occasion, anytime. Just walk into their Norwood Junction and Croydon salons or book an appointment by calling Frida on 07931 511 991 or 0208 6535 300. Consultation is free.
Can I take you out for dinner?
As your PA, I'll have to tell your wife you're asking me out.
It's just dinner.
I still need to tell your wife.
Frida's Palace. Look elegant.
Cutting Country Records and Lifestyle Bids presents the return of the DD Short Show, an Afrobeats festival featuring the best artists Sierra Leone has to offer at the Indigo O2 London on Friday the 10th of August. Doors open at 6 p.m. sharp. Tickets start at £30 and VIP packages available. Come and see the likes of LXG, Emerson, Arkman, Dallas Banton, Alonzo, Silverstone, and many more. Visit ddshortshow.com or call 07917 155 665.
Mixpiration with Bright every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. is just fun. It's exciting. It's a mix of contemporary R&B and pop gospel music right here on ABN Radio. Enjoy great themes every Sunday evening with Bright on Mixpiration, a blend of great inspiring songs just for your Sunday evening relaxation. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. this and every Sunday. They're on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
So welcome back to the Bedtalk Show. We are live on ABN Radio, also streaming live on YouTube. You could also catch us on TuneIn app, DAB, Modern Ghana, and what else? Radio Player. And so here in the hot seat is Kofi and Selassie. So talking about commitment in marriages and relationships as a whole. So Kofi, you actually mentioned something about sleeping around when you're in marriage, or even committed relationship, like how people call it. Now, would you say that if someone cheats or go outside of their relationship, does that mean that they're not committed to their relationship?
For me, that doesn't mean they are not, but because they were not truthful to each other at times, their needs are not being met. So in order not to spoil things at home, they will still maintain that relationship and still get that fulfillment outside the home.
So does that mean that they are committed in their relationship or their marriage or to the partner?
It looks as if they are committed on paper, or it's a facade. I'm in a committed relationship, but I'm not getting what I want. So in order to satisfy myself, I'll go outside and get it and be satisfied and still come back and be with you. Simple as that. That's how I see it.
Kofi, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's like you're saying, in many relationships, millions and millions of relationships around the world, that is more prevalent than not. Again, because people are not, like you're saying, honest from the start. You're not honest with the person. You like someone who's curvaceous, but because of something, you've gone for someone who's slim, who's non-curvaceous. So you're married to the person, but then you're sleeping outside with another guy or with another woman or whoever it is, because you are not honest. If you're honest and say, this is what I like, and the other person says, really, this is what I also like, then 99.9% of the time, it kind of works. Now, if you look at, let's say, Caucasian relationships as against African, Caribbean, Black, because they are kind of, generally speaking, honest in terms of what they want. Somebody can see somebody today, go with them to the registrars, get married because they want this kind of criteria, and that person fulfills the criteria. After a couple of whatever months, if it's not working, they just go and dissolve it. Whereas in kind of our setup, the keeping up appearances thing kind of is there. So she's in a relationship, he's in a relationship, they're married, they come to church, you see them in the park, blah, blah, blah. Yet the person is fulfilled. Yeah, like somebody once told me, if you see a Mr. and a Mrs. in the car and they're kind of not talking, then you know that they are kind of married. Normally, if you see someone who's kind of laughing with somebody and bumping, that's because they're not married. So if you want the telltale sign of someone who's married, Mr. and Mrs., you normally see them in the car and they're kind of no. I see lots of them in traffic and I'm driving, just kind of look, no communication. His head is like
your own survey.
Yeah. So, and you see some people bumping against each other and just chit-chatting.
Thinking about it, it is so true.
Yeah. Generally speaking.
It is true.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all marriages, but generally, yes.
In the kind of African Caribbean setups.
And you kind of see that a lot as well. You know, they sit in there and
and even when they're walking, you see the gap, the distance, and maybe he's kind of leading or she's kind of a few meters behind.
You hardly see them holding hands.
No, it's not there. It's not there because all those things, honestly, because look, sometimes the way that he's dressed, she doesn't like the way you're dressed because look, you're kind of letting the side down, and you're a man, you're kind of sloppy, you're not upping your game, so she can't walk side and side with you, but she can't tell you, so she gives you kind of a little gap so that she's not identified as walking with that wretched, scruffy person. And it's the same way both ways. But like Selassie was saying, it's because we are not honest from the onset.
Yeah.
And that's why we do the keeping up appearances thing, especially in the African Caribbean kind of setups. Whereas with the Caucasians, it's kind of, this is the person I want. I don't care what mommy, daddy says. I'm going to marry the person. They marry after a couple of years. If the criteria has kind of shifted a bit, thank you very much. It's not happening anymore. So we've got something called living apart together. It's kind of the in thing now. It is. So
living apart together.
Yes. They've got websites and it's a big thing now. So I live in my place, maybe because I like to my place to be very kind of tidy, like your studios, and maybe she likes to live in a certain way. So fine, we're not going to mix things up. So I'm very happy where I am, you're happy where you are, but there's something that unites us. It could be the sex, it could be the giggles and the laughter, the conversation. But when we kind of go into our own separate residences, we are kind of away. So
you can be married and be living apart together.
Oh, you could. You could. There are lots of instances, even in Ghana, people have got different bedrooms.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
in a big home.
In different rooms.
And also, even now, with the way jobs are going,
absolutely,
people are working Monday to Thursday somewhere. And so for that 3 days or that weekend that they have together, things are really on it's a high.
Yeah.
And by the time you get bored of the person, you have to go back to Milton Keynes for job for another 5 days.
So what are you implying? That, things actually light up or...
Yes.
Perfectly.
What I'm trying to say is that it's the norm now. People are working outside of home. And that is really helping relationship because being in each other's face and always rubbing off against each other, it does affect the relationship because we are not truthful to each other. And you know that I only have 3 days with my wife this week. So you tend to do things.
You make the effort.
Yes, than when you are there 7 days a week.
And to be honest, it's true. I mean, somebody doesn't like a man who snores. It's okay, if you're like sleeping and then he's snoring constantly, or he's messy, or he's untidy.
Yeah.
And I remember Adwoa talking about something in the fridge that you don't like when somebody kind of does that kind of stuff. All those things, it affects people. People have got that kind of things, and every human being has got things.
But if you want a relationship to work, that is why there is compromise.
You see, that is where also there are issues, because sometimes if you ask for me to compromise on something,
no, you don't ask me. You don't. A spouse don't ask you. But
okay, so I like a tidy
it is
place.
my choice to say that because my spouse likes things done in a certain way, I am going to do my best. I'm going to compromise on certain things.
Let me give you a scenario. I like for my home to be very tidy, clean, everything set up, books in.
Yeah.
You may not be that way inclined. Not saying you're messy or you're overall, but you're kind of not.
You suffer from a bit of an OCD cleaning, stuff like that. Yeah.
So what happens? So what happens is now, if you ask me to kind of, because if you took this case to a third party, they'll say, well, it's not a big issue. We should be able to kind of, but actually it might be a big issue for me.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that because you realize that I'm making the effort, maybe I may put the book back in the shelf, but I will not arrange it alphabetically as you've done it. But because at least I made the effort to put the book down, your compromise is that you leave it alone. That is for me. That is what I mean by compromise.
I agree with you.
There's certain things that it's hard to compromise on.
That's why we have to communicate in a relationship. So you have to know what you can take and what you cannot take.
I think when it comes to things like that, well, I don't know if I should call this compromise, but what I would do is, okay, I know that when you take your shoes off, you leave it there anyhow. I have said and talked and communicated, I'm tired of it. So maybe the compromise is, when I see that you've left it anyhow, I'll just pick it up and put them together and leave them, in a nice thing. Yeah. That's the only way. But other than that,
how often are you going to be doing that kind of stuff?
That's the thing.
So for me, would you use that as basis of not letting your relationship get on?
100%. People do that all the time. And those are the things that people don't say.
Yeah.
Look, when it comes to the mind-blowing sex that we talk about, and somebody says, oh, my husband doesn't like when I kind of lie on him, but or the wife says the same thing, and maybe the wife has told you to have your bath, to shower, and all the kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, that hygiene thing. Don't even talk about it.
We actually we're doing that next week or next 2 weeks, but we're doing hygiene, yeah.
And it's all those different things. It's all those different things that kind of those little bits, they boil up, and ultimately, so you get people who say, but she's such a pretty girl and she's such a lovely person. Why did you guys both break up? And they won't be able to tell you the gospel truth, because, like you're saying, people, it's human nature. We just don't tell the truth in terms
the
of
whole truth.
But it is those little things. And so if you're kind of living in your own place, in your flats, you've done the way you want, you live in your flat, you've done the way you want. When we kind of meet, like you're saying, on a neutral territory, or when I'm kind of in there, like you're saying, it's fantastic, because you don't get to endure all my sloppiness and shabbiness and messiness. And you kind of like it.
Enough about that talk. Now we're going to talk about married people living together, children who have joint assets, joint everything, and they are trying to make it work, because that is the reality most people also find themselves in.
But again, that is where commitment is even key. Now, before you get into the marriage, because remember, when you're doing marriage, there's a legal entity, legality comes into play.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And when legality comes into play, like they say, the stakes are high. The stakes are very, very, very high. So she's in the relationship. She's married. Yeah. Now, the house that you've bought, she's got a stake in it. The kids that are going, she's got a stake. Education, she's paying, there's a stake. So the stakes are even higher. So if, like I'm saying, they are under one roof, but they live different, people are under one roof, but living different lives.
Yeah, but I think for some people, because of those legality and things at stake, they are living together, but they are roommates and they are making it work beautifully.
They're making it work, but I think they are enduring the marriage rather than enjoying it. So it's
for us, how do we help them? Because that is the essence of Bedtalk.
And that's the thing, saying before you go into marriage, you have to be honest with yourself as to I'm committed to this person because of A, B, C, D. You have to be honest. If it's because she's beautiful and you somebody just wants beauty, I would pay for you, I would sort you out, I don't want you to work, I just want you to look glamorous for me every single day. It works for some people. It might not work for the next person, because the next person wants hardcore sex. And his partner wants hardcore sex, so it works for them. Somebody wants religious person, so that religious person, it works. If you're not honest and you mismatch a few bits, you're in trouble. And like you're saying, because we're not honest, we mismatch things. And then when
but then the other danger of it is that, for instance, like you want somebody who is into hardcore sex or a religious person. But then you get this religious person and you realize that, the personality is not exactly what you want. The temperament is not exactly what you want. The love language is completely way out of the window. So then what do you do?
Okay, that is where commitment comes in. Remember, commitment is you define the criteria that you want. She also has to define the criteria she wants. The fact that you fit my criteria doesn't mean that I fit your criteria. So I want somebody who's religious, who is a certain size, who is always pleasant and respectful and giggles. That's fine. But that person may not want me. She might want someone who is 6 feet, big muscles, who's got cars, who's got this. And so if you go and marry that person because maybe the person doesn't have that forceful personality to say, hold on, actually, I know you like me, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I don't like you. I want someone who is... There are people who are religious who like people who are non-religious. It exists.
Relationships can be very complicated.
It's very complicated, but there are a lot of marriages and relationships where assets have been merged together
that's the problem.
Are not committed. They are not. For me, once in a marriage, once you have signed on that dotted line and you've made your vows and you owe it to yourself. I would say that you think that you've made it's a mismatch. But are you just going to throw it away, or are you going to work at it? Is it workable? Because that's what I always say, that you assess the situation and see that, can I work on it? Is there something, can we make the best out of it?
Yeah.
It's a question you need to, both of you need to sit down and ask yourself.
But like Adwoa was saying, then you're just enduring that relationship. You're just sitting there and you're enduring, and you basically
because if you're not careful, because there is a mismatch, everything, pack your bags, go.
Well, you know what? We will come out. We are taking the news on top of the hour. We'll be right back.
ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. More news, more information. This is ABN News on the Hour.
From the Sky News Centre at 10, Donald Trump's denied criticising Theresa May's Brexit plans in an interview.
Fortunately, we tend to record stories now, so we have it for your enjoyment if you'd like it, but we record when we deal with reporters. It's called fake news. We solve a lot of problems with the good old recording instrument.
In the recording published by The Sun, you can hear the US president saying he told the Prime Minister what she should do, but she didn't listen. He's been holding more talks with Mrs May at her country residence of Chequers. The President and First Lady Melania then had tea with the Queen at Windsor before flying to Glasgow's Prestwick Airport. They're spending the weekend at the President's Turnberry Golf Course after thousands of protesters joined demos today. Police believe the nerve agent which killed a woman in Wiltshire came from a bottle which they found in her partner's house. Dawn Sturgis died on Sunday after being exposed to Novichok. Her boyfriend, Charlie Rowley, remains in hospital. A man's been jailed for at least 25 years for encouraging people to kill Prince George. Hussein Rashid, who's 32 and from Lancashire, also gave advice on how to carry out other terror attacks. Pound World is to shut a further 80 stores following its collapse last month. It'll leave more than 1,000 people out of work. In sport, the second men's singles semi-final at Wimbledon's into a third set. Live now to centre court and our reporter Richard Newman.
Yes, Rafael Nadal's levelled his last four tie with Novak Djokovic at 1 set all after taking the second 6-3. It would be a surprise if this match finishes tonight. We're playing under lights, but there's an 11 p.m. cut-off, so they may need to come back tomorrow. They're on court so late because it took Kevin Anderson 6 hours and 35 minutes to beat John Isner, winning the deciding set 26-24.
Thanks, Rich. And in football, England manager Gareth Southgate says he's not intending to make wholesale changes for their World Cup third-place playoff. They face Belgium tomorrow. That's the latest from the Sky News Centre. I'm Annie Joyce.
Bedtalk on ABN Radio with Frida's Palace. Ladies, look elegant with Frida's Palace. Call 079 315 11991 to book your appointment.
You look elegant.
Thank you.
The hairstyle, the makeup, you change that every week.
It's Frida's Palace.
So, that's standing out. Look at your birthday party was Frida's Palace, right?
You got that. Hair and makeup for every occasion, anytime. Just walk into their Norwood Junction and Croydon salons or book an appointment by calling Frida on 07931 511 991 or 0208 6535 300. Consultation is free.
Can I take you out for dinner?
As your PA, I'll have to tell your wife you're asking me out.
It's just dinner.
I still need to tell your wife.
Frida's Palace. Look elegant.
It was a well-paying job, respectable, wearing a suit and tie every day. But I drank 24/7. Drank on the way to work, drank at work.
I never could come to terms with admitting that I had an alcohol problem or a pill problem.
I decided to get clean, and so I went to the Narconon program.
Not only did I handle my drug addiction, I completely knew how to live life.
Call Narconon today at 01435 512 460. 01435 512 460.
They are coming from all over the UK, France, Holland, Germany, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Canada, US, and Ghana. The biggest Ghanaian event this summer. Ghana Party in the Park on Saturday, the 14th of July 2018 at Trent Park in London. From 12 noon, happening at the Ghana Party in the Park. Live music, food, Deborah Chiefs, cultural dances, fun fair rides, plus many more. Mom, dad, auntie, uncle, bring the kids along with you. Tickets on sale now at aquabauk.com. For more information, call, text, or WhatsApp 077 337 91988 or follow us on social media at Aquaba
UK on all platforms. Sponsors: Pay Global, World Remit, GCB Bank, Unity Link, Royal Air Maroc, Jobico Shipping, Fontour Solicitors, and ABN TV. Ghana Party in the Park on Saturday, the 14th of July 2018. One amazing day bringing the family together.
ABN Radio.
Welcome back to the Bedtalk Show with me, Adwoa. We are live on ABN Radio, talking about commitment in relationships. Here in the studio with me is Selassie and Kofi. And of course, yes, what is commitment? We have actually gone down to it a little bit, and interesting conversation indeed. I am actually enjoying it. And so relationships, marriages, what happens when someone is okay? Actually, let me ask this question first. What is the impact of commitment in a relationship and in marriages?
Oh, it's huge. Commitment is the biggest factor in any relationship or any marriage. It is the factor that would actually ensure whether the relationship endures, the relationship succeeds or doesn't succeed. It is the number one. It doesn't matter what third parties say, pastors, counselors, well-wishers, whoever it is. It is the numero uno. It doesn't matter what any oracle says or anything. It is the number one. And it comes from within you, the person, the partner, the spouse. It is the number one. Like we were saying, sometimes you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage, whatever relationship it is. If you're in it, you have to be truthful and honest.
That's
Even
right.
when things are going out of gear or things are not shaping up properly, honesty is such a powerful tool. Sometimes the worst of situations can just turn because you admit, when you go to court, sometimes when you're truthful, the judge can even just have a kind of mercy on yourself and just reduce the sentence, and just because of the fact that you told the truth.
Yeah.
Those are mitigating, and we're all human beings, and it really, really helps. Like Selassie was saying, sometimes these mismatches happen, whether it's through family pressure, peer pressure, whatever kind of pressure. So people go into relationships, they're in there, they discover there's some kind of mismatch in there. Is it worth throwing away the whole relationship, or is it working at the relationship? I'm saying sometimes if you're honest and truthful and say, this is what it is, this is what I like, how can we kind of meet each other halfway or kind of mend certain bridges? Honesty is a big thing. Sometimes we think that we are outsmarting our partners, but they see it, but sometimes they just don't react. And so for me, it's worth saving, but it's worth saving if you're prepared to be honest and to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
And also, once you're honest with each other, you have to be ready to put in the work.
Yeah.
The work it takes, because you cannot just be honest with each other. The information has landed. What are you doing with it?
Yeah.
What steps are you going to take to manage the situation? It will be very difficult. It will be very intense, but this is the time you have to really take baby steps. You cannot just throw your hands in the sand or just hide under the duvet and think that magically an oracle would happen and things will fall into place. No. When you are in terms of marriage, you have to tell yourself that it is hard work and I am ready. I normally use this thing saying that if you get married, be ready to fight for your marriage.
Yes.
You have to use everything available to you to fight for your marriage, unless you don't want it. Because I believe that if you fight for your marriage, you are going to reap the results. Because you are in the marriage, you don't want to work for a successful marriage or relationship. Who should work for you to come and enjoy? You are in it together. So once you're honest, you realize these are the areas and these are practically break it down into workable pieces. This issue that you brought, this is how we're going to do it. I married you because you were curvy, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you've lost weight. What can we do about it?
What about someone who feels that they are trapped in that marriage? Because they've been married for so long, they've got kids, things aren't working out as they should. However, they don't have, they want to try and make it work, but that zeal, that energy, they feel so drained. There is nothing in there to kind of recharge it.
I would say call a timeout. Call a timeout and look after yourself, because you are not okay within yourself to even start to fight for your relationship. You are nowhere near. So you need to
what would you say to that person?
You need to work on yourself first. Whatever is going on with you, you have to identify the situation and seek help, whether it's professional or whatever help you need to sort out that issue within yourself. Then you can be able to take the decision, am I going to go on with my marriage or the relationship, or am I going to call it quits? Because at times we are stuck in limbo and we are not doing anything. You are not moving forward, you are not moving backwards, you are not working on yourself, you are just there.
Yeah.
And I don't think that state is not good at all. You should be doing something always to improve yourself, to improve your relationship. I mean, those of us with children, you are always trying to do little to make life better for your children. What about you? You have to concentrate on yourself at that moment. I don't know. It's so important, and especially as women, we need to medically, psychologically, everything. We take our children and our husbands, we book the appointments and everything for them. When it comes medically, we don't go for appointment, we don't take our medication. I mean, I'm just digressing a bit, but it is important that we look after ourselves, our mental health, our everything. Something is worrying you. Take a moment and acknowledge, I am angry, I am depressed, I am whatever.
Yeah.
Accept it and find help. There is a lot of help out there.
You know, I also say in relationship, like you're saying, it's worth fighting for, and it's hard work. Now, if both parties are not prepared to put in the hard work, I'm not sure whether it really would work, because if you're putting in all the hard work and I am still being sloppy, cheating around, sleeping around, I don't care because I've married you.
So basically, the two of you needs to want to make it work.
You need to make, for me, even if it's a contract, this is what we're going to do the first month. And then you come back together. We're able to achieve this. You have to see. If it's not going to work, then you take that decision.
Rather than enduring.
No. You don't have to. Because at times, as for me, I'm talking from a woman's point of view. We are quiet and we are just hoping, praying. Quiet, no. Being quiet at times does not help the situation. There are times that you have to speak up and fight for what you want. Know your worth and fight and demand for what you want. Because if you don't, you'll just be there and life will pass you by.
Yeah. Which is what I think a lot of marriages are going through at the moment. You know, because when you speak to people here, there and everywhere, people will call you, and from the conversation you have with them, you know, you realize, wow, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of marriages are suffering and they're going through this kind of marriage. You know, they're in it because they don't have anything else to fall on. And they kind of feel like...
But it's not too late, Adwoa. Whatever age, whatever, how many years, it is not too late.
Good.
You can take baby steps, you can start doing, but you have to know what you want. You have to be okay within yourself.
Yeah.
What is the problem? What were your desires? What were your aspirations before you got married? As at this way, at the age of 55, what can I achieve? What can't I achieve practically?
Yeah.
You have to do something. For me, I would advocate that.
That's very good, yeah. But like you wanting to do something, the other party needs to want to do something
so
too.
I'm talking about at times we need to work on ourselves. So I've worked on myself. I'm now a bit stronger. So then I can come and, if I use the word confront, but we can have that conversation. This is what I've gone on for ABCD, but are you ready to let us work towards this thing?
Yeah.
And you need an honest answer. And then
honesty.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, is love commitment?
No, for me, love is a feeling.
Okay.
Love is a feeling.
Love is a choice.
You think it's a choice? Do you
feeling of affection?
Do you choose?
Feeling.
Really? Do you choose who you fall in love with?
No.
I don't know whether you choose, but it's certainly a feeling. But I think that because us human beings, we all have something in the head as to the things that we like.
Yeah.
It's similar to the kind of foods we like. People like different foods for different reasons. And I think it's the same with partners and with people you like. Somebody might tickle your fancy because in your mind you like someone who is jovial, who laughs, who's this, who's that, per your criteria. So people say, well, you don't determine who you fall in love with. Personally, I don't think that's true. It's in your subconscious. But sometimes, because it's in your subconscious, it's not right in front of you. But any time that somebody who fits that criteria per your subconscious, it tickles your fancy, it clicks. So you say, oh, I like a woman who's blah, blah. Which is why sometimes when you look at certain men or certain women, if they've kind of changed boyfriends and girlfriends, they normally go for a certain type of person almost all the time. Because in their subconscious, those certain boxes are in there. Yeah. And it takes and it takes and it takes and it takes. You can see somebody who's left a certain girl, gone for a different girl, left a certain girl.
But they all look alike, or they all have settings similar.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfectly. It
so
sits
true.
in the subconscious because it is there. We say, oh, I fall in love with whoever I may, and love is love at first sight. No, there's a subconscious where there's a certain couple of boxes that really triggers things for you. So for me, love is not a commitment. It is a feeling. But once because remember, in your subconscious, there are criteria in there. You like somebody who's this, that, blah, blah, blah. Once you identify that person, it is like Selassie was saying, you have to be honest enough to have that conversation with the person and say, I like somebody, blah, 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 and let that person also give you their criteria. Otherwise, it will not work. I may like Selassie, but she may not like me. It is as simple as that.
Which is what happens sometimes, though,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
So the marriages you get, and because, I don't know, in a part of the world, you have this kind of parental pressures, family pressures, peer pressure. A woman will go into a marriage, and that guy is not really her first choice. That guy doesn't really tick her boxes. But because he's got money, he's a doctor, he's fine with the in-laws, blah, 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 they kind of push her. And like ultimately, we'll get to the point that Lassie was talking about. She's in a marriage, she's kind of trapped, she's losing her mental stability. She doesn't, because from the start, that wasn't her preference.
The foundation was so wrong.
And if the foundation is not right, then ultimately you'd get to the scenario Selassie was talking about. So it is, in everything, it is the foundation, the most important. And Selassie was saying, women have got to be bold, but women have got to be bold from the start. If you're bold when you're kind of in that trapped marriage, we have kids, we are now in
But Kofi, most women find themselves there. I think the young women now, they are bold. Yes. But for, let me use for my age.
Our generation.
No, most women are, they're having the raw deal.
Yeah. And again, somebody was asking, is it worth being in that relationship? Because your mental stability is all you have in.
Do we even realize that we have we are losing it? We don't even realize it till it's too late.
Yeah,
because we are so bent on making it work, and we lose everything. We lose ourselves.
Again, someone was saying that if you go into a marriage that you went in because of a certain thing, not because of the love you have for that person, not because you connect or you gel or you get on. And then after a while, when it wears off, that's when it almost feels like you're cursed in that marriage.
But that's where I have an issue. If yours is love, you have to ensure that you communicate that to that person from the onset, before you go into any legalities and signing any document. And the person has also got to be honest to you and say, yeah, I'm into relationships because of love.
But you know how at the beginning of relationships, everyone is like, oh, I love you. And he goes, I love you too. It's like, they don't, a lot of people don't go deep into it.
We just scratch the surface.
Yeah.
We dig deeper.
I think maybe
it's like sex.
From our part of the world, maybe that's where it is. I think, generally speaking, in the Caucasian they kind of like to itemize things. And I like you because blah, blah. And he'll tell you or she'll tell you. And the moment you kind of lose that, it ends.
Yeah.
But we kind of like to say, well, let's work at it. It will work. Bring third parties in.
Those who say that, work at it out.
People say work at it, and they bring third parties in, pastors, counselors, kind of trying to G things up so that things work. But like Selassie was saying, the hard work, it's the two of you. But unfortunately, we kind of like to subscribe these things to third parties. Oh, I'm praying every day, God will change him, or the pastor will talk to her, or third party, or the family will say this. The two persons, normally sometimes, they can't even
They don't see eye to eye.
When you go in, and this one is sitting there, this one's sitting here, and they're just watching the telly, and this one switches off, and this one goes. Until those two parties kind of are prepared to talk to each other and say, this is what it is.
Is it because some of these relationships were not based on friendship as well? Or is it because, life happened and a lot of things happened within the relationship and they've kind of drifted so far apart that,
For me, it's the truthfulness. Look, every human being, when you're truthful, we know what we want. It's in the subconscious. Whether you like a guy who's this or a girl who's this, you know it. See, the reason people are married, when they're driving, they're looking at other girls, they're looking at other women, because what he really, really wants is what he's seeing. The person at home who is his wife, who is married to, for whatever reason, whether he's not communicating it to her or whether she has kind of let herself go or whatever it is. Yeah. But again, the communication thing, I'm saying from the start, if you're honest and say, I like somebody who is gorgeous and pretty and that's all I like. But again, you have to ensure that that person also wants to be that gorgeous person who just sits at home all day. Because sometimes in life, the woman might want to be the gorgeous person who doesn't work, who is a housewife. A point in time may come where she would think, no, I'm worth more than this. I want to kind of stand up on my 2 feet and kind of make something of myself. Now, how is that actually going to work?
Wow.
So it's all about, even when you're in there and you think that people can change.
So would you say that being into each other prior to getting married is not a good foundation to build that marriage on?
I think that being with each other, personally, I think it's a good thing so long as you are honest.
Yeah.
Now, if you just like me because I drive a flashy car and blah, 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 and actually I'm not your kind of guy, then even we might court and date and ultimately get married, but things might change, and then you might kind of say, no, this is not what I bargained for, so therefore I'm actually out of the door. So until we are honest enough, and believe me, if you're honest, there are lots of people who will fit your criteria. If you like hardcore sex, there are guys who like hardcore sex, there are girls who like hardcore sex.
But the fact is that we don't even know each other. We don't even know each other. We don't even know what we want.
No, but no. You have to be honest and say, this is what I want. It's like a guy. Look, there are guys, you see a guy would go out with a girl who is a certain physique.
Yeah.
His friend would go for another girl who is a different physique. We know what we want. And it's similar to a girl. A girl would like, I like a guy who's quiet. A girl said, no, I like a guy who's loud and who's known everywhere and who's known all around town.
Yeah.
Everyone has got what they like. Now, what you like, believe me, someone else on the other side has those qualities and likes the same thing as yours. Because we are not being honest and saying that I like sex, so therefore, and if you're honest, you would get a guy or a girl.
But now, let's fast forward. We are in the marriage.
Okay. Once you're in the marriage, now you have, like you're saying, you have to communicate and you have to work at it.
And men, when we tell you that our sex drive have changed and we want it a certain way, don't be too shocked.
But the thing is, a lot of the women don't even talk about it, but we will come right back and talk about it, because because of the way we've dealt with in our relationship, we are now scared to kind of change and be a lot more, But hey, we'll come back and definitely talk about that right now. But for now, keeps your dials locked in. We'll be right back.
Bedtalk on ABN Radio with Frida's Palace. Ladies, look elegant with Frida's Palace. Call 079 315 11991 to book your appointment.
You look elegant.
Thank you.
The hairstyle, the makeup, you change that every week.
It's Frida's Palace.
So, that standing out look at your birthday party was Frida's Palace, right?
You got that. Hair and makeup for every occasion, anytime. Just walk into their Norwood Junction and Croydon salons or book an appointment by calling Frida on 07931 511 991 or 0208 6535 300. Consultation is free.
Can I take you out for dinner?
As your PA, I'll have to tell your wife you're asking me out.
It's just dinner.
I still need to tell your wife.
Frida's Palace. Look elegant.
The Discourse on ABN Radio, engaging our community with discerning conversation.
Join me, Esther Alade, on The Discourse, where we will be redefining perspectives with authentic analysis.
Join The Discourse from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on ABN Radio.
This Friday and every Friday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
Hi, this is Rodney Hines.
And I'm Michael.
Join us on the Voice of Sports show each and every Saturday on ABN Radio.
We'll keep you bang up to date with all the latest football scores, and we'll discuss all the big talking points in the world of sport. So don't forget, join us this Saturday, 4 till 6 on ABN Radio UK.
Sending money has to be fast, safe, and efficient. So what are you?
Now you can send up to £5,400 to Ghana for only £1.
Only £1? Up to £5,400?
Yes, only £1, and your friends and family can collect with ease from a cash collection point, mobile money on all networks, or directly from their bank account.
This is so convenient.
Wait for the most convenient part. Download your PayAngel app to your phones and tablets and get started, or visit payangel.com. Pay only £1 for money transfer to Ghana, no matter the amount, when you pay for your transaction with instant bank transfer.
Get paid when your family and friends send. Terms and conditions apply.
Visit payangel.com for details. PayAngel, truly an angel. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Welcome back to the Bedtalk show with me, Adwoa. We are live on ABN Radio. And yes, this is the Bedtalk show. And please feel free to give us a call. I just realized I'm not giving the phone number out a lot, so don't be afraid. Give us a call. It's 0208-670-7300. 0208-670-7300. We would really like to hear, what you think about this conversation that we are having, commitment in relationships and marriages. So please give us a call once again, 0208-670-7300. You could also send a WhatsApp message on 0788-7475-940. And yes, in here with me, Kofi and Selassie. Yes, interesting conversation indeed. Talking about commitment in relationships. So before we went off, Selassie, you came up with a very good point about women not actually saying, or you didn't say that women should be able to tell their partners if they want hot, rough sex or what have you. And I was saying that a lot of the times, a lot of women don't really like to talk about it for the fear of what their partner might think, because he will think that, we've been married for 10 years. In the last 9 years, you haven't done anything. How come all of a sudden? And sometimes they might think that you're probably seeing somebody outside of the marriage.
I've discovered information. I've got knowledge now.
Are you able to convince them like that?
You don't need to convince them. It's up to them to trust you, to know that there is a lot of information out there, and my wife has gotten the information and enjoy the benefit of it.
That's true. I think some women too can be a bit laid back.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately it's the upbringing and the cultural bits. It's unfortunately it has affected lots of things, and that plays a role in lots of things. And I've always in lots of things, and those who've heard me say things, it has to do with our upbringing is not has got its advantages, but it's got lots of disadvantages, because it doesn't embolden, it doesn't empower, it makes people timid and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, women suffer that a lot. Thinking back to when we were kind of growing up, I mean, the girl has got to do this, that, and the other, go to the market, come back, work, do this, that, blah, blah. And the boys are just going out and playing football and just coming back and just food is ready and all that kind of stuff. So the women have suffered, again, under the kind of patriarchal system. Oh, the man is the head of the house and all that kind of. And when you do that, they quote the Bible and say, oh, man is the head of the house and all that kind of. Those of us who've had issues with the Bible, also they say men have used that to kind of subjugate women centuries and centuries and centuries.
And you women should be submissive.
But with women, I would just say that please, let's discover our voice.
The thing is, when you're trying to discover your voice and the person keeps saying to you, you've got to be submissive, submissive.
What I'm trying, I don't know, but
how do you discover that
voice?
What
I'm going to say may not go down very well, but I'm going to say, but what I'm trying to say is that discovering your voice doesn't mean that you should shout.
No.
No,
you can
of course
discover
not.
your voice and in a subtle way maneuver change in your home. Because at times we are so quick to shout, I've discovered my voice.
Yeah.
But you discover it and then you strategize on how you're going to make that relationship work, how you're going to have your way, how you're going to have fulfillment, how you're going to have amazing sex. It can't be done by, you have to do it gently.
Since you're ladies, let me also ask you another question. From the man's point of view, when there are issues in a relationship, be it whatever relationship, marriage included, many men, and I speak for many men, don't like for those issues to be disclosed to third parties. And many women have got best friends and they've got their mothers and they've got their sisters, and info kind of leaks elsewhere.
Yeah.
When that happens, when you come to us and you ask us to kind of solve issues, we are not ready to do any solving because we're already angry and pissed off because you have gone and disclosed things to third parties. Men don't like that at all. And in my dealings with my friends, with other male women, have best friends and a friend of a friend. So sometimes you go on even Facebook and women have got all these issues and someone has told somebody something and a third party, blah, blah, blah. And men generally don't kind of like that kind of stuff. So when you're saying about the issues in there, we should work it out. Before we kind of work it out, sometimes the woman has gone and leaked the info to a third party, be it the mom.
For a woman to go outside of her home to talk to somebody else, there has to be the problem where the spouse in question does not want to talk to the wife.
I think that's where I disagree with Selassie for the first time, because women always have best friends and they're close friends.
I think that also women are all emotional, whereas men can kind of stand their ground and keep it. Women get emotional about some of these things, and it becomes overwhelming if they're not able to penetrate through their man.
Somebody said this again. I don't know how true it is. If you are ladies, you can correct me. It said that women process things by talking. Is that true or is that not true?
That is true.
Very true. So, at that moment, because what I believe is that when there is an issue, at times you may want to cool off, but at that moment, your wife, your spouse wants to talk, but you would like to cool off. I think I said on this show that we should come with strategies on how to argue. And people, they don't understand me, because if we have, that my husband will cool off for 1 hour and he will give me that vacuum, that time to talk to me about things, then you wait instead of calling your girlfriend. So even though you are fuming and you are itching, you discipline yourself.
Yeah.
Being committed in your relationship is that I'm going to wait for my husband to cool off and we're going to discuss that issue. Those are some of the practical things I was talking about.
Yeah.
So if we know that, then we know that safety, and I'm going to come to you. We are going to talk about it, and I'll wait to go on and on and on. And you are not going to dismiss me. You're going to understand me, and together we will solve it and have amazing sex after.
Yeah. Because if you realize or you notice, a lot of women who tend to keep things in and bottle things in, if you look at them quietly, you realize that most of them are very sad. Most of them look depressed because they're bottling so much in. They don't want other people to know what they're going through. And, I don't believe in telling a lot of people about your issues now. But then sometimes you need that one friend that you can trust, that has been there for you, that that in case of anything, you could go to them. You don't run to them at every little thing, opportunity or what have you. But once in a while, when you feel that you are actually crashing, you need to be able to talk.
And also, sometimes we don't tell them because of anything, but we just want that comfort.
Yeah.
At times, just telling it to somebody just relieves you.
Because at that point, you expect that you talk to the spouse about it. But at that point, the spouse, you are so angry or annoyed with that spouse that you're not in that frame of mind to even discuss anything with the person. But you are so overwhelmed with the issue. It is crushing you. It is literally breaking you. And you need an outlet. So that is what happens. Again, I say, I don't believe in going to tell A, B to, C, 1, 2, 3 people. You don't have to tell a lot of people, but there should be that one person that that you could go to. So I think men just need to, men can easily take these things because a lot of men are not that emotional like we women do. You know, I think the only times that I probably see men cracking up is when they've seen or heard their wives having an affair. I think that's one of the biggest things that
really,
yes,
right, okay,
yes. Other than that, I think men take a lot of things, whereas women can't.
Okay.
You know, so yeah. Moving on, I think you know, would you say the commitment is predominantly, you know, about marriage?
Not really. No.
Not really.
No. It's a commitment, apart from the kind of general point about commitment. Commitment in a relationship has got nothing to do with marriage. I'm saying there are lots of different relationships now across the world, be it cohabiting, living apart together, long distance, different relationships, the kind of traditional man, woman, house, 2 kids, 2.5 kids, all that kind of stuff. It's it kind of, that's a traditional. It's moved on. Like Selassie was saying, now people have got jobs going, traveling up and down, even within the same country. You've got people based in different places, working different shifts, people traveling or fulfilling consultancy contracts, blah, 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 project man. It's a different world now. So to have mommy and daddy under the same roof every single day of the week at the same time, it's not the norm. So there are different relationships. So and that is where real and genuine, I always say that's where real and genuine commitment is actually tested. For me, commitment is not tested when I've signed on a dotted line or Selassie signed on a dotted line. For me, that one, there's a big cane hanging over your head. There's a marriage contract hanging over your head.
Yeah.
If you don't behave, you'll be taken to there, you'll be taken to the court, blah, blah, blah. True, genuine commitment for me exists when there's nothing written, there's nothing legal, there's nothing documented. Like I was saying, my coming into the studio today is commitment. Me saying, "Oh, I'm going to come on Friday the 13th." That's just a vow. That's not like people standing in chairs saying, "Oh, I'll love her forever and till death do us part, in rich out and poor." I know all those things are just vows and pledges. They are just that. So it's a public show. When the public is not there, how is that man treating that woman? Or how is that woman treating that man? Is that genuine commitment in sickness and in health? Somebody can be sick and the guy is kind of chilling at the nightclub with different women, but his spouse is not feeling well, and that's the time when he should be at home kind of attending to his kind of. So all those things are just a public showing of pledges and vows. They're not genuine commitments. I always say, if you want to see genuine commitment, do not put anything signed on any dotted line anywhere. And that's when you'd see people say, oh, when a woman has her own job and she's got her own money, then you can see who she really is. And I'm saying, if you see the person and she's proud and she's arrogant and she's,
you'd see it.
Then that's who the person truly is. Because there are people who've got money, who've got their cars, who've got their own business, blah blah, who do not toe that line. They're still the same genuine, friendly, loving people that you wish every human being to be. So I say I'd like it when a woman is independent and has got her money. That is the kind of person I like, because then you can see genuinely who she truly is. If she's someone who's arrogant and non-respectful, you see it. If it's someone who's genuinely jokey, funny, a real human being, even with all her cars and her pedicure, manicure and houses, you see her for who she is.
I think maybe the person was trying to probably say that, you know, when they got hooked up or got married, she didn't have all those, and then along the line, you know, things are working out for her, and then she gets all these promotion and what have you, and then she's starting to earn a lot more money. And, you know, suddenly you kind of switch. But this is where I'd say to people that, especially ladies, that it is not necessary. You know, some of these things is not necessary. I mean, you know, I'll use myself as an example, for instance, because I work at a predominantly male-dominated environment. And I'm a project manager. So I can go into a meeting room and there's about 14 men, and I'm the only woman, and I'm the only black as well. But I've got to put, you know, some kind of authority in place. I've got to be proactive. I've got to be, you know, all those things. However, when I get home, I need to realize that I'm not project managing my husband or my house. You know, so that exactly that drop. And I think that is where a lot of women struggle to do because they are in management positions at work. So when they come home, they completely forget themselves. And especially if they are at a higher position than their husbands. You know, so they come home and they want to try and bring that. And that is a no because the person that you are married to, no matter what, your husband, even if you are the main breadwinner, he is your husband and you've got to respect him as such. You know, don't come and see him as your subordinate or what have you. That doesn't work. And you know, I think these are some of the things that, as much as we're talking for women, we need to create this awareness for women to know that at the end of the day, that's not what it is. Because money or what have you, you can lose it in 2 minutes. You know, 1 minute you'll be a manager or what have you, next minute they'll make you redundant. So we've got to think about all these things. And, you know, as much as you've got to be, you know, proactive and confident, but you've got to bring in an element of humility as well and try and balance it. And that's what I would say. But then, does marriage guarantee commitment?
Absolutely not.
No.
So it doesn't guarantee. It's not commitment, but then it doesn't guarantee commitment as well.
And in a part of the world, even from when I was growing up, you used to hear it all the time saying, let him marry you. That's how you can get him to be committed to you, blah, blah, blah.
And also marriage does not mean that once you're married, there is fidelity. No, it doesn't. No. It doesn't. Because Kofi talked about the vows and everything. You've taken the vows. What steps are you taking to maintain, to walk that fine line of marriage? You've taken the vows. I take you to have and to hold for this day or what. So what are you doing? What are you doing in the relationship?
He's not doing anything because he was not honest.
Yes. So the fact is that
simple truth, right?
The fact is that there wasn't honesty on both of your parts. So you are just
rattling.
You were just doing it. You are just doing everything, but you are not doing the main thing that would help you in this relationship. Because if you're married, that doesn't mean that there wouldn't be. You have great sex, things will be okay. No. It is just an idea that we have. I don't know where it came from, but we think that we marry and everything is rosy and I have my 2 children. I go to work, I come back, and I go to every weekend we go out and everything. No. It's just a fairy tale.
Maybe it's a fantasy that the TV and the media has kind of conveyed into people's homes. So you watch all these soaps and all these characters on TV and you believe that, it's kind of happy ever after. But like you're saying, marriage doesn't guarantee commitment whatsoever. Relationships doesn't guarantee commitment whatsoever.
I think I read it somewhere. Marriage is made up of 2 imperfect people who are committed to each other. To make the little steps every day, because 2 of us, we accept that we are imperfect, but in our imperfection, what are we going to do with it?
But do a lot of people accept that they're imperfect? Because I've heard people say that, you know what, I've done you a favor by marrying you. You didn't have anything. I paid your school fees and I paid your uni fees and I did this and I used to pay your mom's rent and all of those things. So in their heads, they feel that they're doing you a favor. But when we come back, I want to find out, why all of a sudden too many people seem to be commitment phobic. So when we come back, we will talk about that.
This is ABN Radio, projecting rich African culture through the power of radio.
Bedtalk on ABN Radio with Frida's Palace. Ladies, look elegant with Frida's Palace. Call 079 315 11991 to book your appointment.
You look elegant.
Thank you.
The hairstyle, the makeup, you change that every week.
It's Frida's Palace.
So, that standing outlook at your birthday party was Frida's Palace, right?
You got that. Hair and makeup for every occasion, anytime. Just walk into their Norwood Junction and Croydon salons or book an appointment by calling Frida on 07931 511 991 or 0208 6535 300. Consultation is free.
Can I take you out for dinner?
As your PA, I'll have to tell your wife you're asking me out.
It's just dinner.
I still need to tell your wife.
Freedom's Palace. Look elegant.
Mixpiration with Bright every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. is just fun. It's exciting. It's a mix of contemporary R&B and pop gospel music right here on ABN Radio. Enjoy great tunes every Sunday evening with Bright on Mixpiration, a blend of great inspiring songs just for your Sunday evening relaxation. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. this and every Sunday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
Work it.
Welcome back again to the Bedtalk Show with me, Adwoa. We are live on ABN Radio, London's only premier Afropolitan station. And right here with me is Kofi and Selassie. And I think we've had a very interesting conversation.
Very interesting. My eyes have been opened. Yeah, my eyes have been opened.
Actually, you have opened our eyes as well.
Yeah,
so we are so grateful that you actually came in today. And for you out there, if you want to give us a call, please feel free. Kofi will normally call, but today he is on the hot seat. So come on, give us a call.
I'm missing being under the duvet.
I know, right? Ow. Yeah, so give us a call 020-8670-7300, 020-8670-7300 as we get into the kind of final stages of this program. And yes, again, thank you to Freedom's Palace. And if you need all your beauty things, then that's the way to go. She is based in Norwood and Croydon. So, why do so many people suddenly seem to be commitment phobic?
What I would want to say is that in terms of people don't want to get married,
yes, and even in long-term relationships, you know, stuff
I think
like that.
Over the years they've seen what has happened, that marriage does not give them what they want. Some people have been married and divorced and they choose to cohabit and everything. So what they have, I think the evidence is clear. It's all over. So they choose to live together, do everything together, build a home together, but they don't want to sign on that dotted line that they are married. It's as simple as that.
Wow. Actually, someone was going through a bit of issues, and the person called me and we're talking about it. And the person says something so profound. He says, Adwoa, if I divorce, I'm not getting married again.
Yeah.
And also the person said, and I thought, really? You know, really? He says, yes. I mean, I'll be done. I wouldn't ever get married again. He says, marriage is such hard work. I just can't deal with it anymore. And I was a bit taken aback, though, you know, because I'm thinking, if one doesn't work, it doesn't mean the other won't work. I mean, if I go buy, it's not the same, you know, relatively, but if I go buy a dress in the shop and it doesn't fit, I'll go get another one. It's not the end of the world. You know, but I guess that because of some of the problems or issues that one goes through, it makes you feel like, you know what, not anymore. And I think it's the people that go through very unpleasant experiences that kind of, you know. So, Kofi, what's your take on that? Why do you think that people have become so commitment phobic?
It's interesting that you say that. I think that it's due to the availability of information that we are seeming to believe that now people are suddenly becoming commitment phobic. It's just that now people are defining relationships in a different way. People's eyes have now opened to the fact that, in my opinion, genuine commitment doesn't need a dotted line. It doesn't need for you to sign. If you genuinely believe that you're committed to Adwoa, then you're going to basically treat her properly, be devoted, be loyal, and do all the things that without anything hanging over your head. Like I always say, if you come into this studio, come into this program, that is commitment. Commitment is not saying that, oh, I'm going to come on Friday. It is actually stepping up and coming. Now, you don't need a big cane or a big stick to force you to come here. Then you're not being committed. You're just coming here because there's a big stick in the corridor that will give you a big whip if you do not turn up. So people now have seen over the years that actually people are signing on the dotted line, getting trapped in marriages. And then all this, like so I was saying, the mental health issues, which affects lots of things. Then people are enduring things that they really shouldn't be enduring. The brutalities, the domestic abuse, the beatings, the financial subservience and all that kind of stuff. I mean, people are tired of all that kind of stuff. So therefore now both men and both women say, you know what? If you're really committed to me, okay, let's show ourselves that we are committed to each other without signing on any dotted line. Basically, when you sign on the dotted line and you trap the woman, now you're trying to treat her in a certain way. You're trying to limit her choices. You're trying to limit her freedom. Every human being wants to be free. It's part. That's why people don't like being in bondage and being in chains. We like to be free, and that is one thing that I'm a big advocate of. I would rather my daughter or my niece doesn't marry somebody, go along with them, be in a long-term relationship, whatever relationship. But the most important thing, have your own job, have your financial stability, have your mental health switched on. If you like the guy, you like him because he makes you laugh, you go out and you enjoy football or you enjoy whatever it is, and that's the score. Don't be with him because he finances you or he puts a roof over your head.
And that's when they become manipulative and controlling.
That's
and then jealousy also sets him. He's like, you know, I am doing this, I'm taking care of you.
Absolutely. So if the person,
the fact is that if you put yourself in that position, you give up certain parts of yourself to your spouse, because you are not earning, you don't have the financial freedom. You have I would say you have sold parts of yourself. You have given it freely. So in returns, you can't make demands. You can't fight for what you want in that relationship.
Are you saying in marriage or
in marriage? Okay, I'm talking about in marriage because if you are also bringing that part of money into the house, then you can also be part of the decision making.
Which is why I've always liked, again, people know me, I like women who are financially independent, who've got their own car, their own, because I do not like to, it's a personal thing, and I'm sure there are other men who are like that. I don't like to impose myself, or you can't go here, you've got to do this. It's not fun. It doesn't work. It doesn't, I mean, sometimes, how can you live with somebody who, the person, or you enrage someone who's almost permanently depressed, is not happy.
But Kofi, you know what? There are some relationships that the woman is financially sound, working and everything else. However, and still, the man still tries to control them. You know, I am the head of the house. You are the woman. You know, you've got to submit to me. Don't mingle with these friends.
But you know they can't choose those Bible verses that men quote. For me as a woman, I need to read the Bible for myself. When the Bible said, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Christ loved the church and died for the church. So if you say you love me, are you ready to? So we owe it to ourselves as women when it comes to submission, all those Bible verses that are thrown at us. We owe it to ourselves to do a Bible. Because I think in the 10th year of my marriage, and I did my own personal extensive Bible study on submission, and I discovered certain truth for myself that is so peculiar to my marriage. So I think that women owe it to themselves, because what does it mean if he says a man is the head of the house?
But
what does it mean to you? They throw it around and you are just okay. You are just there. No, know it. You have to know it and know that I'm accepting it, because we don't lack of knowledge.
I've heard someone says, "Oh, as for me, I won't allow my wife to go here."
No, I remember we were having a conversation. Somebody I'm very close to. And I said, we're planning to go to Malta, my girlfriends, and the person nearly evaporated. It's like, how can you, a married woman, go on holiday with your girlfriends?
Yes.
It's like,
there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you need that me time.
Yes.
You know, you need that me time.
Yeah. So.
And then whilst you are there, you're sending him text messages that will drive him crazy. So by the time you get back, he is ready. You know, because sometimes you need that little breakaway so that you miss each other.
So if not even for me, you do things you experience different things, and that experience you bring it into the relationship.
Yes.
You are fulfilled, you are rich, you are relaxed, and then you come in with your cup full into the relationship. But for me, it's I don't even want to. Let me just stop because I have such strong views about things like that.
You have to have those strong views, because I don't believe in that submissive and submission thing. I cannot be in a relationship where I'm not equal with another human being. Because for me, that's the ultimate. I always tell people I'm not superior to anyone, and I'm not inferior to anyone, and I have that equality should be the same. I was telling people I don't like for somebody to. I see the person as a slave, and all kind of being submissive. And being timid. How can you be enjoying? I want to be the way I am with my male friends, kind of always Charlie, what's happening? That's how you should be with your.
You want to be friends
that's how it
with
should
a
be.
person.
That's it. The friendship element of a relationship.
If you see something on Facebook, on TV, you're chatting, you're kind of giving your stories, and even watching football. It should be a happy kind of. Many of us have been friends with our schoolmates for 20, 30 years. I always tell people, if you reflect on those personal relationships, what is it that has made you bond so well with those persons? And you should be able to bring those dynamics into your kind of.
But do you realize that most people don't realize that if you treat each other as equals, if you give that person that freedom, that it benefits the relationship more?
No.
They don't realize it.
No, a lot of people don't.
They don't realize it.
Because sometimes people say third parties, either your friends or your family, are saying, no, you're the man has got to exert his authority, you cannot allow your what. So sometimes, even though the man wants to kind of give that leeway, he's getting pressure from third parties saying.
That is why you have to silence every voice around you.
Which is what I always say. Don't let your friends prophesy into your relationship.
You have to silence, because at the end of the day, the commitment, you owe it to yourself to say that this is my marriage. This is how I want to run my home.
Exactly.
This is the dynamics, and this is how best I can do it. Because if we don't turn off all the voices around, they come to interfere. They are so louder than our voice, and that we can't even hear ourselves thinking, so that we can even take action. So it's about time we just put them off. They are not in the relationship. Ghanaians have this proverb that you are near the fire and you know how it's burning, so you know what to do.
But there's another question that I hear people say all the time, and I said I'll ask you ladies. People say, and again, I disagree with people like this. Every single time they raise it, we have a big discussion. They say when you get married, you marry the family as well. And I always disagree. I say it's like
you accept them, and you do things, but you don't marry them.
When you marry
the
lady, you marry her family. When you marry the guy, you marry his family. And I say it can never. How does it work?
That's the thing. What do they mean by you marry his family?
You have to take the person's.
You take them as yours, but.
And that influences a lot. It messes up lots.
So for me, as I said, yes, I've married the family and everything. Does that mean that the family have a say in my relationship?
Yes.
It is something that both of you have to talk about, because if my mom is not going to come into my relationship, then your mom does also haven't had the right to come into my relationship.
The thing
we need to define it. We need to talk about it.
And the thing is, even when you're going through issues, like I say, maybe you might want that one friend that you can talk to, but until you say that, or you get to the point where you really want to divorce, I don't think that you should bring your family into any.
Because people have talked about that bit in the commitment stakes, saying, if you're committed to me, how come you are kind of committed to this person, your mom, your auntie, your sibling, your uncle, blah, blah, blah?
I would say commitment is so much of a strong word, but once I marry you, I'm aware that you have siblings, you have this. I'm aware that it's your sister's birthday, well, we have to send money, it's something we discuss amongst ourselves and then make plans towards it.
Okay.
Because I acknowledge that you have a family. I acknowledge that you have to support your parents. It's something that we do together.
Okay.
Wow. Anyway, it's funny how time goes so quick when we are having fun. But I know. Yeah, it's just crept up on us. I was going to ask about whether it impacts on, lack of commitment impacts on sex. But I believe that it does. But in the meanwhile, let me just read my sex tip for you for this evening. And today, what I have called is wiggle and shake. So, I say that if you are craving a quick but stimulating break from intercourse, this move is the perfect erotic timeout. So to do it, the man withdraws and rests the tip of his penis on the clitoris. Then hold the base of the penis and shake it quickly from side to side so that the head hits the clitoris with every wiggle. In doing so, you'll be stimulating both the heads at once, that is the clitoris and the penis. And believe you me, it will take you both into an outburst of pleasure.
Many men don't know what the clitoris is.
I think we will be doing sexual technique in the next, 3 or 4 weeks' time. So when we do sexual technique, definitely we will probably tell you where the clitoris is. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in to the Bedtalk Show. Thank you so much, Kofi and Selassie. As always, really, really appreciate you. Please do tune in tomorrow for a lineup of progress. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be right here, same time next week. Good night.
ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. More news, more information. This is ABN News on the Hour.
Centre at 11. Donald Trump's described Theresa May as an incredible woman doing a fantastic job. The president's comments in the grounds of the Prime Minister's country home came just hours after an interview dropped of him criticising her Brexit plan. The two leaders chatted about potential trade deals, but Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn's not impressed with how she's doing things.
My concern is that Theresa May has been discussing trade with him. She's at the same time said that we would keep the regulatory environment we have with Europe, which we all want to do. He doesn't want that. He's made that very